It's another great Saturday morning, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to your weekend dose of news, analysis, and current affairs, the platform. I am Sam Omashaye. Today, we shall examine the recently launched Nigeria Economic Recovery and Growth Plan and the trials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. And I have with me here two financial analysts, Olushola Gbadamosi, you're welcome to the show. And Nnemeka Obiara-Eri, did I get it right?
Obiara-Eri.
Obiara-Eri.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
What's the meaning?
He that came to enjoy.
Oh, you've actually come to enjoy it. Smart. You're welcome, gentlemen. Let's get a quick break before the conversation begins. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP, is expected to stimulate economic growth and pull Nigeria out of recession. This is the latest policy from the federal government after several interventions appeared to have failed. This one may seem very good and well crafted on paper, but the burden remains at its implementation stage. The plan will focus on agriculture with a view to ensuring adequate food security as well as energy industrialization and social investment. It also seeks to achieve a 7% economic growth by the year 2020. Does it truly have the capacity to make Nigeria produce what we use? Let's listen to President Muhammadu Buhari in a short footage.
Recovery and growth plan brings together all our sectorial plans for agriculture and food security, energy and transport infrastructure, industrialization and social investments together in a single document. Our aim, simply put, is optimize local content and empower local businesses. We seek not just to take the Nigerian economy out of recession, but to place it on a path of sustained, inclusive, and diversified growth.
Welcome back. As the President giving us in a nutshell what the Economic Recovery Plan is. Now, what do you think about this plan? What are the major ingredients of this plan?
Thank you very much. The plan, I think, is a right step in the right direction, but the same is coming, a sort of bit too late 2 years back. I believe that this ought to have been in place before even the government taking over. And the reason is that such medium plan ought to have been in place in which the current budget will have its stem or its root from it. Now, from all analysis, this plan was actually put in place because of part of the requirement of African Development Bank. Now, the government, it seems, have already prepared this, having this analysis from the current 2017 budget. But, good as it is, the issue of implementation would be a major problem. Because all the analysis have looked at that no milestone, the cutoff of whatever the government is going to achieve. But the issue to be addressed here, the issue of security, the issue of agriculture, and also expansion of the economy and infrastructural development, I believe might be achieved if we follow all the due steps stated.
Now, do we have the funding for this?
That's the question that we'll need to ask those that designed this Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
Yeah.
And basically, just like he rightly mentioned, this plan came 21, 22 months later than late, exactly. But at least it's better late than never. Basically, if you look at the 4 broad objectives of the ERPG, you will discover 1 is to ensure macroeconomic stability, 2 is to ensure economic growth and diversification. The 3rd one is to look at business environment and competitiveness. The 4th one is to look at governance and the security. Be it as it may, the 140-page document is like a global framework. And it's a global framework, and if you look at the content of the ERPG, it's not, there are no novel provisions different from what we have had in other economic blueprints.
Exactly.
The Vision 2020, the National Industrial Development Plan, the National Infrastructure Development Plan, 30-year, $3 trillion plan for 30 years, developed by Akinwumi Adesina and Co. There's no much difference in terms of content. But there are some key features of that document that we've not seen before. I will give you one. You know, I was here on platform some weeks back, and one of the key provisions of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan is the provision of the Special Delivery Unit in the Presidency, working closely with the Ministry of Planning and National Development, Planning and Budget. And that is, we've not had it like that before. The only thing left now is, do we have, like I said, the 140-page document is a global framework. We will now have to drill it down to the ministries, the departments, and agencies. Now the question is, do we have the technical and personnel capacity in the MDAs to now bring the strategies back down to the tactical level, to the actionable level, to the deliverable? That's a key question. But as for the provision of the SDU, is very, very critical.
What's SDU?
The Special Delivery Unit. Okay. Is a special delivery unit that they intend to establish in the presidency.
What would the SDU do? The SDU is there supposed to do what? The
SDU is there to coordinate the activities of the ministries,
to monitor
the departments and the agencies. You know, right before now, we've never had a kind of accountability and the consequence process where we say, okay, we set targets. We say, okay, in the next 1 week, this is what we want to do. Somebody to monitor it, somebody to report to the press, okay, this is our target for 3 months. We are in the target. What is the run rate? You know, for every target, there must be implementable timetable, there must be accountability, and there must also be consequences for non-performance. So the SDU, if properly populated, like they said, they are going to bring in multi-talented, versatile Nigerians with multi-skills in different sectors to ensure that these goals are implemented. If the SDUs are populated with the right people, not looking at 97.5% criteria.
To have SDU too, you have to have the funding for this.
Yes,
that issue is, has it been addressed?
Sam, if we have clear blueprint, one of the problems we've had is that we've never had a clear blueprint. Let me tell you, the Nigeria economy provides and ticks all the right boxes for any design investor. If we have a clear, discernible economic blueprint upon which a design investor can build an outlook, the monies will come.
Okay, what do you say to that?
Well, you know, as it is, like a 4-year medium-term plan.
Yeah.
And the first thing you have is the first year, which is 2017 budget.
Yes.
The 2017 budget has been provided for. We have about 7 trillion.
Yeah, this person says that a lot of it is from debt. You heard what Sanusi said from our CBN.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said the whole thing is from debt, and about just 30% of it is
34%. 34%. Yeah.
So where is it a budget built in the skies?
No, not at all. I think now that last year we have about 1.88 million barrel per day. But now, according to the analysis of the CBN and NNPC, we have about 2.1. We are gradually moving to one of the points of 2.2 million barrel per day budgeted. So, and also, it's
predictable oil price.
And also, the trading unit is about 5.1 as at yesterday per barrel, in which we budgeted about 42.5. per day. So therefore, the money is there. But the major problem, like he said, is actually the issue of implementation. The key performance indicator by the government must be put in place. Reward must be stated, penalties must be stated, and we must have everything in milestone. The milestone we have now is per annum, but it should be divided into per month, and everything divided by into states. Another problem we have, which is actually a global issue, is that a state like Lagos State as such before, in which all the budget per annum, in short, they have all their budget for the next 10 years, you have it on ground. So the government has no that capacity now. So what we need to have is that
you have to follow the lead of Lagos.
We must do that. We must do that. And also such idea, because the president said and encouraged other states to follow suit. Now we should go back to other states as well to follow the platform of Lagos State in which the federal government is actually adopting now. Yeah. And if we put everything in, let's run it like a corporate organization, and Nigeria will be in for it.
Exactly. Yes, on the birthday of Shiwaju and the economic, the Minister of Finance, Adeosun, publicly said that they were trying to follow the template that Shiwaju set and so on and so forth. Exactly. But there's a question. How do you have, in a modern era, an economic recovery plan without tackling the issue of energy?
Now, Sam, if you look at some of the provisions of the economic recovery and growth plan, they made robust provision for energy production. Energy production in terms of ramping up production of the crude, and then building up the power infrastructure. Yeah. In the power oil production leg, they talked about ramping up production from the current level to 2.2 barrels, 2.2 million barrels per day, and move it up to 2.5 million barrels by 2020. Yes. Of course, we do not control the global prices of the crude oil in the global market. Currently, as of yesterday, a barrel of the Brent closed at $55.29 per barrel. We don't control it. Of course, you know that. But
it's looking good.
It's looking good.
That is more predictable than it was
but we must also take into cognizance of the fact that the global daily production is 96 million barrels per day. OPEC controls 40%, which Nigeria is a member. The U.S. also has great influence on the volume of oil. Exactly, the oil pricing. Now, the question is, good as it may, if we have a projection to grow our output from 2.2 million barrels to 2.5 million barrels, there are conditions that will drive that. You know, and also in the EROPG, they make provision for tackling the issues of insurgency in Niger Delta, boosting securities, you know, amplifying the amnesty program and all those stuff. And they also talked about passing the PIB, which is very, very good, because one of the things that will have hampered production in that, Nigeria has capacity to ramp up production to about 3 million barrels per day. But the issue of the insurgency in Niger Delta is one issue that we must tackle critically. And I pray that the government will have the goodwill.
I saw some of them who have become now.
Exactly. Government will have the goodwill and the political will, not just to provide elixirs, but to provide long-lasting solutions. Like one of the key provisions of the PIB that has been one of the things that is stalling the party, the provision that will have the communities, local communities, have direct access to 10% of the royalties from the oil companies. That is to enable them to provide security for the pipeline. And you will agree with me that the only people that can provide security to the pipeline are those communities through which those pipelines pass through. Yeah. Because each of those communities know every inch of the land. If they see strangers in their midst, they know. And as long as they have active participation, they see the direct benefit, not the one that go through NDDC.
It's their own version of what Lagos has come up with as neighborhood watch.
Exactly. And I can see, you see, Lagos is a model. Every state, even the federal government, should have to emulate. And I think, be as it may, the document, like I said, does not have any much difference from what we had before. The question now is in the implementations, digesting it down to the micro level, the ministries, the departments, the agencies, to ensure. On the power sector, they talked about, which is very, very good, the DISCOs. One of their major complaints that the Transiscos and the GENCOs have not been given them enough power to distribute. They have been encouraged by the provision of the ARGP for them to have embedded generating companies. Yeah. And I think that provision will enable them also. For example, now like an Eco Disco that has capacity to distribute about 1,200 megawatts. Currently, they're not even doing up to 600 megawatts. But if they are allowed based on the provisions and it's implemented, they can embed GenCos that can enable them generate and supply to them directly under a direct pay and take agreement. And it will help us. We are not short in designs, policy designs. It's all about implementation. And my prayer is that the federal government of Nigeria, good as the document may be at the global level, that at the micro level, digestive stage at the MDS, that will be able to procure the right personnel with technical and skillful capacity to be able to implement it. And then in the issue of monitoring, I will also want to suggest, you know, when I was at the platform last time, I suggested the issue of the Special Forensic Advisory Unit, which they've done, the SDU. Now, this Federal Ministry of Finance and the Federal Ministry of Economic Planning must work hand in hand. You talked about financing. I tell you this economy can attract as much as $30 to $40 billion in investment if we put the right framework. Dollars. It's a huge economy. It's an economy that ticks all the right boxes. I will tell you, if you talk about the numbers, any design investor with a stable political atmosphere, with a stable economic blueprint upon which to build upon,
with the sort of population that we have.
Exactly. So what we need to do now is to digest this 140-page document and bring the specifics in the issue of power. What is our direction? In the issue of energy, oil production, they mentioned the fact that they're going to, federal government is going to divest their holding on the
There's a caller from Niger State. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Morning, sir.
Morning. What do you have to say?
I'm only greeting you, sir.
Hello? Looks like we lost him there. Yeah.
So what I was saying, I said, for example, now the issue of federal government has mentioned very strategic issues. One, they intend to divest from the JVs and bring down their holdings to about 40%, allow the private sector to enable the JVs become an incorporated JV that will have that balance sheet. Very beautiful. That can net at least $15 to $20 billion into our economy. Yeah. They've also talked about divesting from the refineries to bring in private investors and other oil and gas assets and other critical assets. Yeah. Very, very good. They will need to know. Now it's in a global plan. The Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources will now have to come down and say, okay, build a timetable and say, in the next 3 months, like he mentioned, in the next 6 months, in the next 9 months, this will give investors, for example, if they say in the next 9 months, we are going to privatize the refineries and maybe divest 70% holding. We are going to divest from the JVs from 60% to 40%. In fact, in the next 9 months, it will help global investors. There are global, see, we have over $10 trillion out there in shadow funding, seeking to where to go to. These are shadow fundings outside the normal conventional banking system. If there is a global plan, they don't use a plan, these people can put together a consortium to begin to look at where do they go to. And I can tell you the funds will flow into Nigeria. One of the major problems they have is the issue of policy instability, and which they've also promised to do. Aligning the monetary and fiscal policy.
Yeah, what really interests me in all of this is this issue of agriculture. We want to produce here, we want to have our chicken, we want to have our eggs, we want to have our rice, we want to have our beans, we have to have all of this. But this is closely tied to border security. Okay, we have the Galadima from Yobe State. We'll come to that. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, what do you have to say?
So, the issue of this economic and growth in Nigeria.
Yeah?
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sir. The issue of this economic growth, we have to look at the problem first. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
We have to take that senatorial and the legislative and the rep house.
Okay, I think it's talking about look at this sectorally. Now, as I was saying, we have the issue of imports that have to do with customs, and we have fake rice, fake gari. We have the issue of rice coming from Thailand and so on, and chicken that is not healthy, that they all pour them in, and they're kind of compromising our capacity to generate our own agricultural independence. So how now, within this budget, or this economic plan, is security going to help our own indigenization of our own prosperity?
That's a very big question, I must say. And it's an issue as it is. In fact, in order for us to, like the other time you asked about the power, one, power must be developed.
Yes.
And like in the budget, it stated about 540 billion naira into such. Now, the issue of agriculture, when you have the issue of border, what you produce in-house now, is this sufficient to go around? The answer is no. The answer is no.
And why? Because we are being compromised by imports.
Apart from that, there's an issue. We all cried about agriculture. Where are the facilities? Where is the silo of those times? Where are the storage facility of those times? You have a lot of tomatoes coming in from the north before they get down to the west. That's an issue. Yes. We are now saying, okay, we want to establish, tomato paste companies and all that. Where's the infrastructure? Where's the power? And
we have silos all over the country that are lying waste.
There's nothing Nigeria is doing about that. The first thing we need to do is to develop infrastructure. That's one. Secondly, whatever they are producing then, you can store and can also go around everywhere. The first thing is not the issue of the border. Let's increase the output. Let's ascertain via our statistics that is enough to go around. Then, the issue of other importation and every other thing can be controlled. Mind you, we are saying that inflation should come back to a digit. By the time you close all the borders, and whatever we have in-house is not enough.
Well, we'll start to produce.
So what?
Or we'll face it.
The question is, how long?
How long? That's the important thing. We are rounding off. We're rounding off this discussion because it's an issue that will. So I wanted to very briefly.
I wanted to chip in something there. You see, you cannot reinvent the wheel, and I can tell you this: the question we should ask ourselves: what is Thailand doing that we're not doing well? Remember that Lagos State government partnered with Kebbi State government to produce rice. Kebbi is a rice belt. The fundamental problem we have is the structure we are in as a country. And can also go around everywhere. The first thing is not the issue of the border. Let's increase the output. Let's ascertain via our statistics that is enough to go around. Then, the issue of other importation and every other thing can be controlled. Mind you, we are saying that inflation should come back to a digit. By the time you close all the borders, and whatever we have in-house is not enough.
Well, we'll start to produce.
So what?
Or we'll face it.
The question is, how long?
How long? That's the important thing. We are rounding off. We're rounding off this discussion because it's an issue that will.
So I wanted to
very briefly.
I wanted to chip in something there. You see, you cannot reinvent the wheel, and I can tell you this: the question we should ask ourselves: what is Thailand doing that we're not doing well? Remember that Lagos State government partnered with Kebbi State government to produce rice. Kebbi is a rice belt. The fundamental problem we have is the structure we are in as a country. Everybody has abandoned their potentials and latent potentials and then pursued the crude oil money. Lagos State, Kebbi State, I did analysis of Kebbi State, has the potential to generate at least 100 billion naira from rice production and processing every year. Lagos State government saw that potential and they partnered with the Kogi State government. Kebbi State. It's less for the federal government to find out what do we do to ensure that the rice that is produced in Kebbi State of quantity and quality and costing is more competitive than the rice from Thailand. Then, for instance, Dangote's refinery. I told someone, I said, by the time Dangote's refinery comes on stream 2018-2019, Dangote stands a better chance of supplying this market than a refinery in Russia or Netherlands, because by the time you impute the freight cost from Russia, from Netherlands, Dangote cost will cancel it. So we must look at how do we ramp up competitive advantage. You can't reinvent the wheel.
Well, what I think is that it is good to have an economic plan. Nigeria has never been shy of having good plans. From the time of Gowon, we have already had good plans. The point is, one, do we have the discipline? The second one, too, is that do we face them correctly? You do not have a great economic plan without having great infrastructure that is buoyed by great security. Without that, no matter how beautiful your power project is, no matter how beautiful your agriculture project is, we are going nowhere. We have to take care of a symmetry of agriculture and of infrastructure and security, and then the internal impulse to generate ideas and to work hard will now lead to prosperity. And above all, there must be political will and a sense by the government of Buhari that there is seriousness here. It's not about photo ops, it's about seriousness. On that note, we come to the end of the first segment of this show, and I thank you guys for coming. I know that the issue of economy is always an ongoing conversation.
Thanks, sir.
So we'll take a short break, and then we'll be back. Stay tuned. I have another set of gentlemen here. One is a lawyer, Olanrewaju Ajanakuya. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
And a social commentator, Daniel Akinlami.
Yes, Akinlami.
Yes, welcome to the show. Together we shall examine the topic, the trials of the EFCC. This definitely is not the best of times for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The anti-graft agency lost 4 cases in 96 hours. Is the EFCC under attack by the judiciary? Did the EFCC just bungle these cases, or are there impediments on its path to proper investigation and prosecution? What do you say?
Well, like as you said, it's an interesting time. Looking at some of these cases, especially the ones that were thrown out this week.
Yeah.
I think to a large extent, we can say EFCC need to buckle up.
Yeah.
They need to do more thorough job.
Let's mention some of the cases. One of them is the Demola, Justice Demola. The other one is Patience Jonathan.
That's the
Rubebe.
Yes, Rubebe.
Yeah.
So I think what this is playing out for us to see is the fact that it's beyond the media hype and all the information leaking to the media about the allegations, the fraud involved with these cases. The EFCC need to do thorough investigation.
Yeah.
They need to recruit capable lawyers. To some extent, we can give it to them. Look at the Ngilari's prosecution.
Yeah.
I think everything is not completely gloomy as far as their work is concerned. But at where we are now...
Well, we have to remind them that Ngilari is a man who has the first real conviction
yes,
on the war of corruption.
And even that now is in a messy situation, yes,
yeah,
with the prison service yes, compromise here and there,
yeah,
and the Jankaru health report that got him
freed. Yeah.
So I think the work here is that the presidency need to look at the activities, the investigation, and the work of this EFCC under Ibrahim Magu. Unfortunately for him, he lost the ground in the confirmation issue at the Senate. And the other area where he's enjoying public support, that is by the performance and the activities, the arrest, is losing ground in that area now.
Well,
yes, because this is what the public are actually rallying behind him for.
Well, would you say that it's losing ground? Well, first of all, I want you to look at the legal implications of these cases. That's Jonathan. Some people say, well, the case of Jonathan's wife was probably not a case of corruption in the sense of the money of government that is stole. Maybe it was money that she got for being the wife of the president. That you came because you know I'm Patience Jonathan, and if I'm good to you, you open the doors for me to see the president and they make money. Now that is corruption, but how do you prove that?
Those were the things she said. Well, quite unfortunately, that we have gone wrong right from the beginning. You see, EFCC has to up its game. You see, if you begin to have or lose cases at this very critical period in the life of the administration, you'll see that, one, the steam of prosecution will be lost, one, because you need something to, as an impetus to make you move on.
Yeah.
When you begin to win, you feel high. You want to continue in that with vigor.
Yeah.
But when you are deflated by losing, it will take you time. You need to rejig and then be able to move on. But one thing, though, that has caused all this is because right from the word go, prosecution has been in the public domain. It has been the prosecution by public opinion. You bungled it. Who do you want to hold responsible when you have not done the right thing right from the onset? You know, because if they have done very tight and very thorough investigation right from the beginning, you realize that it is not actually everyone that you have charged to court that you need to charge to court for either for corruption or for what you have charged them for. You could charge them for lesser offenses. All you need is a conviction, and not conviction by all means possible, because they also have their defense lawyers who will come up to defend them when the matters arise in court. But one thing that I'm trying to say now is that you bungled it. Who are you to blame? You have not done the right thing right from the beginning. Your investigation was shallow. You thought, well, yes, the praises you get from from people in the country to see that, oh, we saw so certain amount of humongous sums of money with so and so, but you need to prove that those things were corruptly gotten.
Yes.
Corruptly gotten.
Yes.
If you are unable to do that, because prosecution must prove their case beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
If there is any doubt whatsoever, any doubt, it must be resolved in favor of that person who have indicted or haven't stolen or corruptly enriched.
That means that EFCC needs a lot of PR. That's what they need now.
PR?
Because what PR?
No, not
public
PR.
relations.
Yeah,
What
no,
I mean,
not PR.
No. What I mean is that what they need
Yes.
What they need is a rejigging of their image. That's
no,
what I mean.
no.
Let
maybe
me
now.
explain myself. Let me
I
explain.
can understand what you're trying to say. Now, because their image is being battered, they now need
image is
PR.
battered.
No, but then that's not the issue. The issue is fundamental. Before you take somebody to court, you must ensure that you have done the
yes, but for you to
but they
do
have not done that.
Yes.
What do you expect?
Let me explain what I mean by PR.
Yes.
You know, in modern PR, it was done in those days by for what's his name, Rockefeller.
Yes.
When he was having bad media and so on.
Yes.
And his doctors and his PR firms told him, he said, you need to start telling the people the truth. And when you tell them the truth, people believe you. And then you can rise on that to do good by your company. That is the real PR I'm talking about.
Imagine.
You have to, hold on a second. What I mean is that the EFCC needs to now go down to back to brass tacks to make sure that there is credibility in his investigation.
Correct. Now you are just coming.
No, I've always been there.
No, you were not there. No, you were not there. You were not. I got it.
There has to be credibility in his investigation, which means that it has to go back to brass tacks.
Yes.
Because the job of the EFCC and MAGU have always been that they have their hearts in the right place. The fact that you go through frustrations on the legal front does not mean that you don't have your heart in the right place. So you have to make the people know that in spite of your legal obstructions, that your heart is in the right place.
Well, I think what majority of the people are looking forward to in this crusade that's been going on for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
People want to see results in this anti-corruption crusade. They want to see conviction. They want to see these cases that have been in the pages of newspaper truly being prosecuted, and these people alleged to have embezzled or stolen money being jailed. But I think where many Nigerians are not looking at is that the problem is beyond EFCC. Why am I saying so?
Good.
Because when this government started, many of us advocated for new legislations, amendment to some certain laws. Now, these judges are still making use of these old laws.
Exactly.
Those judicial acts that will make a convict to get 6 months sentence with the option of fine, like the pension man. That will make a convict to get option of choosing his prison.
No. You are getting it wrong.
Hold on, there's a call.
No, I'm sorry.
Hold on, there's a call. Hello? Adu Malik from Niger State, hello?
Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys are doing a very wonderful program.
Thank you.
I'm greeting the gentleman in the studio. But my contribution is that the whole buzz of blame should not be on the EFCC. We should try to blame the judiciary as well.
Yes.
Because even a layman know that there are some cases there that have a substantial fact that made those people die.
Thank
but
you.
to our surprise, it does come up that they are free. So the judiciary should be checked as well.
Thank you.
That's my contribution.
Yeah. Now it comes that hold on. It comes that, you know, EFCC might have lost maybe temporarily or whatever the case about, for instance, Goodluck Jonathan, his wife. Yes, but we know, and that is why the EFCC will have its sympathies in spite of the legal frustration. We know that Goodluck Jonathan's wife has to prove how she made that money before she became...
That is part of the issue we're talking about.
Yes.
Until we have a legislation that will indicate that if you cannot substantiate the source of your income or the money you have, you forfeit it to the government. We cannot prosecute this kind of...
Hold on, let him finish.
No. So until we have laws that will explicitly state that if you have questionable wealth, and you cannot substantiate the source of that wealth, you forfeit it to government. Then I think beyond the poor job we are claiming that EFCC is doing, judiciary too has its own portion of the blame. That's I agree with the last the caller. So the judiciary too has its own area that you have to work. And we have not seen
those are the kind of PR work I think the EFCC has to do. Go ahead now.
See, number one thing that I want to say is this. The laws have always been there to take care of what you have been said, that if you cannot explain the source of your wealth, you are bound to forfeit that wealth that you have accumulated over time to the government. But then you have to bring the law to play. Patience Jonathan's matter is a different ballgame entirely. Do you understand? What EFCC failed to counter an application to unfreeze our accounts. If they had objected to the opening of that account, perhaps we will not be talking of what we are saying today. They failed in that regard. Number two, I cannot sit here and begin to say things that are unwarranted about the judiciary, but then one thing that is the truth, which is constant, must be told, and that is to say that, well, yes, the matter of Justice Ademola, fine. What I want to look at the judiciary, that judgment, and vis-a-vis what EFCC did. Look at it. Well, yes, Justice Ademola was said not to have anything to do with, meaning the 18 counts charge were struck out completely. We are saying, was Justice Ademola not entitled to at least explain to the court how he and his wife came about the 30 million naira.
Yes.
That is where my take, that the matter ought not to have been struck out. Do you understand? You need certain explanations. Even cases in court where you have even 100,000 naira involved and all that, the court will ask them to come and explain.
I have a question for you.
Please do.
Why would the judge ignore these issues that you raised?
Well, he is the judge, the arbiter in that matter. If you feel you don't feel comfortable with the judgments, go on appeal.
No. Why will the judge not pay attention to that? Because
That
what I
is-
know
that-
about
he-
many activist judges, especially in these times,
Yes.
is that when they see injustice,
Yes.
they point it out in spite of the incompetence and naiveties
Of the prosecutors. Correct.
These our judges have
Correct.
become technical because they are corrupt.
Correct. I want to agree with you partially. You see, Lord Denning then said...
Yes,
look,
I had Lord
the
Denning
law-
in mind.
the
I had
law- the
Shaw-
law-
I had Shaw in mind.
Correct. He said we should be innovative in our approach to dispensation of justice.
Exactly.
I want to say that at this point in time, I want to believe, sincerely so too, that the honorable judge that handled this matter, Justice Okeke, was not innovative enough.
So,
The
don't
truth
blame
must
the
be told.
EFCC.
No, I'm saying he's still the judge. But it's unfortunate that the powers that he has to call them to come and give explanations, he did not use. So we should look critically. Well, people will begin to look at this. He's causing, you know, he's bringing up this uproar. Let them explain to the courts. We are explaining to the court, we are explaining to the whole world how they came about that money. The sum of money we are talking about.
So
that is innovation in it.
So we are talking
That's
about
being innovative.
So we are talking about law, and we're not talking about justice.
We should.
As we
So
the two
now
go together.
what happened? What happened in this case?
Yes.
Like in the case of Patience Jonathan,
Yes.
and the case of Ademola,
Yes.
is that the judge was looking at, or the judges were looking at law. They're not looking at justice.
No.
let him say-
Excuse me. No, don't mix them up. In the case of Patience Jonathan,
Yes.
the judge looked at both the law and justice because
also-
on what
She has not proved. She has not proved how she made her money.
No,
I
they
think-
did not
Hold
counter
on,
it
hold on,
now.
hold on. That's what I mean.
You did not counter
That's
it.
what I mean.
In being
It's
balanced,
your business. It's
in
your
all
fault.
fairness,
Hold on. Yeah.
It's your
We've
fault.
identified the areas where EFCC need to work harder.
Yes.
But leaving that aside,
Yes.
we cannot emphasize the fact that corruption is fighting back.
Yes.
Not all of these issues are bungled cases of EFCC lack of preparation.
Yes.
Corruption is like a stronghold from the executive arm to the judiciary. It's a stronghold.
If we look at the
For us
U.S.
to have a thorough cleansing in
Yes.
this country, the judiciary need to sit up.
Yes.
Now we are talking about just a few cases that we saw this week that didn't
Within 4
have
days.
some positive end. But there are
You
several
know that there are
cases,
so many cases.
so many cases
Yeah.
that judicial officials are compromised.
Unreported.
Unreported.
People
It's
assign
terrible.
cases to special judges.
We found out.
They cherry pick. They cherry pick their judges.
No.
So
That
now,
one we have
now what we are
Justice
looking
Jaya,
forward to after
Justice-
the DSS raid
Yes.
is a new leadership in the judiciary
Yes.
that will
Okay.
begin to purge itself. We are not seeing anything now.
Okay. Okay.
Now, they were all released. They got their bail.
Okay.
Business as usual.
We're winding out, so take your last take.
Oh, well, I want to say that if we really want to be able to move forward, let the investigative arm be up and doing. Then judiciary should also be responsive and responsible to what is on. You see, you don't have to follow the old order. We want a change, and the change is now. It begins with us as individuals, and we will get there.
Well, I think we still have a long way to go to defeat corruption. Most of us are focused on EFCC alone. But I think now we need to demand justice, reform in the judiciary.
Yes. Well, I think that what may look like a trial of obstructions to EFCC is just a little blip on the screen of the EFCC. Its larger duty is still there. It still has a lot of good to do under Magu. And secondly, the problem is that the judges know what to do and they don't want to do it. And they are hiding under technicalities. And technicalities can only be fought back by more brilliant judges. And that is why, by more brilliant judges, and that is why we need EFCC also to ramp up its game and make sure that it gets its lawyers to say the right, do the right things, and even when it loses its case, EFCC needs to still go to town and explain that it still has the right cases and the right cause in hand. And that is how it can go forward. Now, we'll take a short break and I'll come back and read from my column excerpts titled On the Make. Stay tuned. Right. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu marked his 65th birthday last week to an uproar of praise as a political high roller. While the party lasted and the colloquium buzzed, President Muhammadu Buhari came close to classifying the stature of Tinubu when he described him as the greatest politician of this era. That understates him. Any credible student of Nigeria's history will know that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is not only the greatest politician since independence, he is the greatest since Herbert Macaulay. He shook up Mobil with a report that capsized the company's top brass. The CEO fell. He earned the fear of his bosses, but the respect of his headquarters in the United States. He did it in the democracy struggles as senator, in the June 12 struggles, as well documented in an upcoming book. He baited, dead the Abacha junta, was galled, escaped death a few times, and amassed resources and brain to fight the despot till his death. He returned to slay giants and became governor of Nigeria's signal state, Lagos. As governor, he inhabited an island when the center under the Owu chief could not unseat him. Lagos became the last bastion, what in Texas history is called the Alamo. They expected him to fall in 2007. They plotted Obanikoro to unseat his party and best Babatunde Raji Fashola. OBJ dallied and wanted his troops to move on Lagos. Security forces warned him against it. Eventually, he yielded and Fashola became governor. The king had become kingmaker in the most contentious of elections. With all of these, he had earned himself the plaudit of a great politician. He was not yet in the big league with the great politicians of our history. He was still a regional wrestler. It was time to go national, and that was the big task. No politician had been able to rally forces in our history to victory. But Buhari is president today after many expected the APC to be a bust. The party's formation is the biggest fruition in our political history. He single-mindedly envisioned, as Tinubu single-mindedly envisioned and worked it. He began a governance template that compelled Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun to confess that they want to copy it in the center. No politician in history has enjoyed such an emulation in politics and governance. What other major statesman is known by his chieftaincy title from a different tribe, the Jagaban? He still has giants to bait and beat, except that he sees grasshoppers when others see giants. On that note, I say thank you for joining us. I thank you, my guests, for being around.
It's a pleasure.
And that these issues will continue to come up again. And until next time, be good.